A single father presses his blood-soaked jacket against a dying cop's wound, while armed men close in from the shadows. His dog stands between them and death. In 90 seconds, he'll make a choice that breaks every rule of survival and saves a life the entire police force had given up for dead. What he doesn't know. This officer carries secrets that will expose a conspiracy reaching the highest ranks of the department. And now they're coming for him. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's get into it. Daddy, why does your jacket smell like pennies? Jake Lawson would hear those words 3 days later, and they would break something inside him he couldn't explain to a 7-year-old. But Thursday night, standing in that alley with his hands covered in someone else's blood, he didn't know his daughter would find the jacket stuffed in the trash. He didn't know anything yet. The ER smelled like disinfectant and fear. Jake sat in a plastic chair, Bruno's head on his boot, both still wearing the evidence. His jeans were stiff with dried blood. His hands wouldn't stop shaking even after he'd scrubbed them raw. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Officer Maria Torres badge, 2847. Dying. A sergeant approached, mid-50s, the kind of cop who'd buried too many friends. His nameplate read, Morrison. Mr. Lawson. Jake stood too fast. His knees buckled. Is she... Surgery. Touch and go. Morrison's jaw worked. What you did was stupid. I know. I didn't finish. It was stupid and brave, and it's the reason Maria Torres might see her kid's 8th birthday next month. He paused. She's got a daughter, too. Little older than yours. Jake's throat closed. Morrison pulled out a notepad. Walk me through it. Everything. Jake talked. The walk. Bruno's behavior. The blood. The whispered plea for help. The 2 men with guns. How Bruno had charged like a different animal entirely. The men say anything. The shorter one said, we should finish this. That's when Bruno attacked. Morrison underlined something. Not finish her. Not kill her. Just finish this. Does that matter? Everything matters. Morrison closed the notepad. Maria was working undercover. Major drug operation 3-state network. Someone inside leaked her position. She and her partner walked into an ambush. He's downstairs, 2 bullets in his chest, 1 in his shoulder. He'll live, but he'll never work the streets again. The words hit like punches. Inside leak. Ambush. Why tell me this? Because you're a witness. Because those men saw your face. Because Maria's going to wake up asking about the guy with the German Shepherd who wouldn't let her die alone. Morrison handed him a card. My direct line. Anything strange, anyone following you, call immediately. Jake took it. His hands shook. Can I ask you something? Morrison said. Yeah. Why'd you go in? You got a kid at home. Most guys would have called 911 and kept walking. Jake looked at Bruno. My wife died 5 years ago. Car accident on Highway 9. She died alone while people drove past because they didn't want to get involved. His voice cracked. I swore I'd never be that person. Morrison was quiet. Then he nodded once and walked away. 20 minutes later, he came back. She's out of surgery. Bleeding stopped. Next 48 hours are critical. He paused. She was conscious for 30 seconds before they put her under. Know what she said? Jake shook his head. She said, find the mechanic with the dog. Make sure he's okay. Morrison's expression softened. You made an impression. 2 in the morning. Mrs. Chen from 3B had stayed with Ella, bless her, and was asleep on the couch. Jake paid her double, locked the door behind her. Ella's room was dark except for the crescent moon nightlight. Jake stood in the doorway watching her breathe, curled up with the stuffed elephant his wife had bought the week before the accident. He showered. Water ran pink, then clear. Put on clean clothes. Sleep wasn't happening. His mind kept replaying it. They knew we were coming. An inside leak. Cops dirty enough to set up their own. At dawn, he made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast juice. Ella stumbled out at 7, rubbing her eyes. "Morning, baby girl." "Morning, Daddy." She climbed into her chair. "Mrs. Chen said you had to help someone." "Yeah." "Was it scary?" "A little." "But you helped anyway." "Yeah." She smiled. "That's what heroes do." He kissed her head. Didn't tell her heroes shake for hours afterward. Heroes throw up in hospital bathrooms. Heroes lie awake wondering if they did enough. Friday was supposed to be normal. Jake opened his garage at 8, started on Mrs. Patterson's Camry. By 10:03, people had stopped asking if he was the guy from last night. By noon, a news crew was setting up outside. Jake told them no comment and pulled the door halfway down. His phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Lawson, Lieutenant Sarah Chen from the precinct. We'd like to do a formal commendation." "No, thank you." "Mr. Lawson, I just want to make sure Officer Torres is okay." Silence. Then, "She's stable, improving. She's asking to see you." Jake's heart did something complicated. When? County General Room 418, visiting hours until 8. He picked up Ella at 6, fed her dinner, called Mrs. Chen again. Ella protested, but Jake explained hospitals were boring, and he'd be back before bedtime with ice cream. County General, 4th floor. A uniformed officer sat outside 418 scrolling his phone. "Jake Lawson, Officer Torres is expecting me." The cop looked him over, nodded. "Go ahead." Jake knocked softly. Maria Torres looked small in the hospital bed, machines beeping steadily. Dark hair pulled back, face pale but alert. When she saw him, something shifted in her expression. Relief, maybe. "You're real," she said, voice hoarse. "I wasn't sure." Jake moved closer, awkward. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got stabbed and shot." She tried to smile. "Stabbed first, actually. Then shot while I was down. Real professional job. I'm glad you're okay." "I'm alive because of you." Her eyes locked on his. "Morrison told me. You didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did." "Why?" Same question Morrison asked. Jake thought about his wife, the highway, all the ways people fail each other. "Because someone needed help." Maria was quiet. Machines beeped. Someone called for a nurse down the hall. "I have a daughter," she said finally. "Nina. She's 8, wants to be an astronaut." Her voice wavered. "I kept thinking about her while I was bleeding out, thinking she'd grow up without a mom. Like my daughter." They looked at each other. Two people connected by loss and luck and a dark alley. Morrison said there was a leak. Maria's expression hardened. "Yeah. Someone sold us out. My partner and I were supposed to bust a major distribution point, but they were waiting. 3 guys, all armed, all ready." She shifted, winced. "This operation's been 18 months in the making. Millions of dollars, cartel connections, dirty money moving through legitimate businesses, and someone with a badge is protecting it." Jake felt cold. "You know who, suspicions, no proof, but I'm close, and whoever it is knows I'm close." She met his eyes. "Which means you might be in danger too." "What?" "Those men saw you, saw your dog. Small-town garage mechanic, German Shepherd. You're not exactly invisible." Everything suddenly felt exposed. Ella, Mrs. Chen, his garage. "What do I do?" "Be careful. Watch your back. The department's going to keep an eye on you whether you want it or not." She pressed a button, the bed adjusted. "Morrison's one of the good ones. Anything feels wrong, call him." "This is insane." "Welcome to my world." A nurse knocked. "Visiting hours ending soon." Maria grabbed a notepad, scribbled something, tore off the page. "My personal number. If you see anything, hear anything, feel anything strange, call me, day or night." Jake took it. "You should focus on getting better." "I'll get better when this is over." Her jaw set firm. "I'm not letting them win." He turned to leave. Jake. He looked back. Thank you. For not walking away. Yeah, you too. Saturday morning. Ella had dance class at 9. Jake spent an hour in a waiting room with other parents while 6 7-year-olds learned pliés and passés. Then he saw the car. Black sedan tinted windows parked across the street. Engine off. No one getting out. It had been there when they arrived. Jake told himself it was nothing. Lots of people had black sedans. Dance class ended. He walked Ella to his truck. The sedan's engine started. Jake's heart kicked. He drove home checking mirrors every 10 seconds. The sedan followed 3 blocks, then turned off. Jake exhaled. Paranoid. He was being paranoid. He pulled into his apartment complex. Mrs. Chen was watering plants. Ella ran ahead to pet the neighbor's cat. Everything was fine, except his apartment door was unlocked. He always locked it. Always. Triple-checked. Ella, stay with Mrs. Chen. But Daddy, now. Something in his voice made her obey. Jake pushed the door open slowly. Living room, untouched. Kitchen, normal. He moved toward Ella's room. Everything was exactly as they'd left it, except the stuffed elephant on her bed. It was facing the wrong direction, and pinned to its chest was a Polaroid photograph of Ella, asleep in this bed, taken last night. Jake's blood went ice cold. Written on the white border in red marker, "We were here." He grabbed his phone, called Morrison. "Someone broke into my apartment." Morrison's voice sharpened. "Are you there now?" "Yeah, nothing's missing, but..." Jake stared at the photo. "They took a picture of my daughter while she was sleeping." "Get out, right now. Take Ella and go somewhere public. I'm sending a unit." Jake grabbed Ella from Mrs. Chen's, didn't explain, just said they were going for lunch. He drove to the busiest diner downtown. Sat in a booth by the window where he could watch the parking lot. Ella ordered pancakes. Jake ordered coffee he couldn't drink. "Daddy, you're acting weird." "Just tired." "Is it because of the police lady?" He looked at her. 7 years old, too perceptive. "Yeah." "Is she okay?" "She's getting better." "Good." Ella poured syrup. "I'm glad you helped her. Mommy would be proud." Jake's throat tightened. "Yeah, she would." His phone buzzed. "Morrison unit cleared your apartment. No forced entry. Either they had a key or they're professionals. Dusting for prints, but I doubt we'll find anything." "Where are you?" Jake texted the address. "Morrison, stay there. Coming to you." 20 minutes later, Morrison slid into the booth, nodded at Ella, now drawing on the kids' menu. "We need to talk about protective custody." "No. Listen. I'm not uprooting my daughter's life." Morrison leaned forward, voice low. "Someone broke into your home, photographed your daughter sleeping. This isn't negotiable anymore." Jake's voice came out harder than intended. "I'm not running scared." Ella glanced up. He softened his tone. "What I want is to know who's behind this so my kid is safe." Morrison studied him. "Maria was right. You're stubborn." He pulled out his notepad. "The black sedan. Plate number." "No. Make, model, bending. Generic. I'm a mechanic, but they all look the same when I'm panicking." Morrison made a note. "We're increasing patrols around your apartment and garage. Unmarked cars, plain clothes. You won't see them, but they'll be there." "That's supposed to make me feel better." "It's supposed to keep you alive." Morrison's expression was grim. "Maria thinks the leak goes high. Lieutenants, maybe captains. People with access to case files, surveillance schedules, witness lists." He paused. "Whoever broke into your apartment got your information from inside the department." The diner felt too bright, too exposed. "What do I do?" "Live your life but stay alert. Trust no one except me and Maria. And if anyone approaches claiming to be police, verify their badge number with me first." Morrison stood. I'll have plain clothes outside your apartment tonight. Sunday, their day. Jake and Ella went to the park, fed ducks, got ice cream even though it was 60 degrees. Jake tried to act normal. Tried to pretend he didn't notice the unmarked car following at a distance, or the way he checked over his shoulder every 30 seconds. Ella noticed. "Daddy, are we in trouble?" "No, baby, we're safe." "Then why do you keep looking around?" He knelt to her level. "Remember how I helped that police lady?" "Yeah. Some bad people don't like that, so the police are making sure we stay safe." Her eyes went wide. "Like bodyguards?" "Kind of." "That's so cool." Jake wished he had her innocence. That night after Ella went to bed, Jake sat in the dark with Bruno at his feet and Maria's number on his phone. He almost called 3 times. His phone rang first. "Jake, it's Maria." "You should be resting." "I'm done resting. I need you to think back to Thursday." The 2 men, did either say anything else? Anything at all? Jake closed his eyes, forced himself back. The blood, the fear, Bruno, growling. The taller one said, "He's got a dog," right before Bruno charged. That's it. "He's got a dog," Maria repeated slowly. "Not there's a dog. He specified you had it. So they knew you were there before they saw you. They were looking for someone." Her breath caught. "Jake, I think they expected backup. They expected another cop." The pieces clicked. "You think your partner was supposed to be in that alley instead of me?" "I think my partner was supposed to finish what they started." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The ambush wasn't just about stopping the bust. It was about killing me specifically. And the person who set it up is someone I work with every day." Jake felt sick. "Where's your partner now?" "Still in ICU, under guard. Morrison's got 2 uniforms on his door." She paused. "But if I'm right, it won't matter. They'll find a way." "Maria, tell Morrison." "I did. He's running deep background on everyone connected to the case. But that takes time, and time's what we don't have." Her voice strengthened. "I'm getting released tomorrow. Doctor doesn't like it, but I pulled rank. I can't investigate from a hospital bed. You should stay where it's safe. Nowhere's safe anymore. Not for me, not for you." She exhaled. "I'm sorry I got you into this. I got myself into it. You saved my life, and now yours is in danger because of it. That's not fair." Jake looked at Bruno sleeping peacefully. "My wife used to say life isn't about fair. It's about what you do when things get unfair." Maria was quiet. "She sounds smart." She was. Jake's voice roughened. "She died because people didn't stop. I stopped. I'd make the same choice again. Even knowing what you know now. Especially now." He could almost hear her smile. "You're a good man, Jake Lawson." They talked another 10 minutes. About nothing really. Just filling silence so neither had to sit alone with their fear. When they hung up, Jake felt marginally better. Not safe. Less alone. He checked on Ella. Locked, all the windows, lay on the couch with his phone in one hand and Bruno's collar in the other. Sleep came in fragments broken by every passing car, every sound the building made. At 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. "Stop asking questions or your daughter pays the price. We know where she sleeps." Attached was another Polaroid. Ella at the park, today, on the swings. Jake hadn't seen anyone taking pictures. His hands shook as he called Morrison. "Sergeant, I just got a threat about Ella. They sent another photo." Morrison's voice was instantly alert. "Forward me the number, now." Jake did. Then paced, unable to sit, unable to breathe. Someone had his number. Someone knew about Ella. Someone was willing to hurt a 7-year-old. Morrison called back 5 minutes later. "Burner. Already disconnected. Can't trace it." He paused. "Jake, I'm pulling you into protective custody. No arguments. Where? Safe house outside the city. 24-hour protection. Temporary just until we identify the leak and make arrests. Jake looked at Ella's door. Thought about school friends' dance class, the normal life she deserved. Then thought about that photo. Okay, we'll go. Pack light. Be ready in an hour. Morrison's voice softened. We're going to fix this. I promise. Jake wanted to believe him. He packed a bag for himself, one for Ella, moving quietly. How do you tell a 7-year-old someone wants to hurt her because her dad did the right thing? Bruno watched from the doorway, ears alert. 4:30. Soft knock. Jake checked the peephole. Morrison and another plainclothes officer, both showing badges. Time to go, Morrison said. Jake woke Ella as gently as possible. She was confused, sleepy, asking questions he couldn't answer. He dressed her in warm clothes, grabbed both bags, clipped Bruno's leash. They walked down the back stairs to an unmarked van in the alley. The other officer, Detective Hayes, helped get Ella settled. Where are we going? Ella asked, more awake now, scared. Somewhere safe, Jake said. Like a little vacation. I don't want a vacation. I want to go home. His heart broke. I know, baby girl, but we have to. The van pulled away as the sun started rising. Jake watched his building disappear and wondered if they'd ever come back. Hayes sat in front, constantly scanning. Morrison drove with focus. Nobody spoke. 45 minutes. Back roads, small towns. Then a ranch-style house set back from the road, surrounded by trees. Solar panels, reinforced doors, cameras everywhere. Normal, until you notice the details. This is it, Morrison said. 2 officers with you at all times, rotating shifts. Don't open doors, don't answer phones unless we call first, don't go outside without escort. Jake carried Ella inside. She was crying now, quiet tears. Bruno stayed close, whining softly. The house was furnished, but impersonal. Hotel room trying to be a home. Hayes showed them around. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen, stocked living room with TV, but no cable, just DVDs. How long? Jake asked. Morrison met his eyes. Until it's over. Days, weeks, months. Ella tugged Jake's sleeve. Daddy, I'm scared. He picked her up, even though she was getting too big, held her tight. Me too, baby. Me too. After Morrison and Hayes left one officer outside, another monitoring cameras, Jake tried to make it feel less like a prison. Let Ella pick her bedroom, helped unpack her elephant, turned on a movie she'd seen 100 times. But she wasn't watching, just sat on the couch, staring. Are the bad people going to hurt us? Jake knelt in front of her. No, I won't let that happen. Promise. He wanted to promise, wanted to guarantee her safety, happiness, her normal life, but all he could offer was truth. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe. Everything. She nodded slowly, like she understood that was the best he could give. That night, Ella wouldn't sleep alone. Jake made a nest of blankets on his bed. She curled up next to him. Bruno stretched at their feet. He stayed awake long after she fell asleep, staring at the ceiling, listening to every sound, wondering how a single moment of compassion had led them here. His phone buzzed. Maria Morrison told me you're in protective custody. I'm sorry. Jake. Not your fault, Maria. Feels like it is. But we're close. Another few days, and we'll have enough evidence to move. Jake. And then what, Maria? Then you and Ella go home. And I make sure whoever did this never threatens anyone again. He wanted to believe her. But lying in the dark with his daughter sleeping fitfully beside him and unknown threats somewhere out there, Jake wasn't sure belief was enough. What he did know. He'd stepped into that alley to save a life. Now he had to figure out how to save his own. And somewhere in the city, someone with a badge and a gun was hunting them both. The question was who? and how close they already were. Day 3 in the safe house, and Ella had stopped asking when they could go home. That scared Jake more than the threats, more than the photos, more than the locked doors and rotating guards. His daughter was learning to accept captivity at 7 years old, and something about that felt like failure. She sat at the kitchen table pushing Cheerios around and milk not eating. Bruno lay at her feet, head on his paws, watching her with those knowing eyes dogs have. "You need to eat, baby girl." "I'm not hungry. Just a few bites." "Why?" She looked up at him, and the exhaustion in her face was too old for a child. "We're just going to sit here all day anyway." Jake had no answer for that. The officer on duty, Patterson, stood by the window pretending not to listen. Young guy, mid-20s, probably felt terrible watching a kid lose her childhood one locked door at a time. Jake's phone buzzed. Morrison. "Yeah. We got a break. Maria's partner woke up this morning and he's talking. Can you get to County General by noon?" Jake looked at Ella at the safe house at the invisible walls closing in. "I thought we couldn't leave." "Hayes will drive you. Armed escort, back entrance, minimal exposure. But Jake, this is important. He's saying things that don't add up, and Maria thinks you might catch details we're missing. You were there that night. You heard things we didn't." "What kind of things?" "The kind that might tell us who's running this from the inside." Morrison paused. 1 hour. "Hayes is already on her way." The call ended. Jake looked at Patterson. "I need to go to the hospital." "I heard. I'll stay with your daughter." "No." Ella's voice was small but firm. "I want to go with Daddy." "Baby, you need to stay here where it's safe. You said you'd keep me safe, so I'll be safe with you." Her chin lifted stubborn, just like her mother used to get. "I'm not staying here alone." Jake looked at Patterson, who shrugged. "Her call, man. But Hayes isn't going to like it." Hayes didn't like it. She pulled up 30 minutes later in an unmarked SUV, took one look at Ella holding Jake's hand, and her jaw tightened. This wasn't the plan. "She's coming or I'm not going," Jake said. Hayes stared him down for 5 seconds, then sighed. "Fine. But she stays in the car with me while you're inside. Non-negotiable." They drove in silence, Hayes checking mirrors, constantly taking random turns that added 20 minutes to the route. Standard protocol, Jake figured. Make sure nobody's following. Ella pressed her face against the window, watching the city roll past. She hadn't seen anything beyond the safe house in 3 days. "Daddy, can we get ice cream after, maybe baby?" "You always say maybe when you mean no." Hayes almost smiled at that. County General's back entrance was industrial, all loading docks and service corridors. Hayes parked in a bay marked Authorized Only and kept the engine running. 15th floor, room 1534. Morrison's waiting. You've got 30 minutes, then we're gone whether you're done or not. Jake nodded and squeezed Ella's hand. Be good for Detective Hayes. I'm always good. That almost made him smile. Inside the hospital was different from the main entrance. No visitors, just staff rushing between deliveries and equipment. Jake found the service elevator, rode it to 15, stepped out into a corridor lined with officers. Morrison stood outside 1534 with Maria. She looked better. Still pale, moving carefully but upright and steady. When she saw Jake, something crossed her face. Relief, maybe. You came. You asked. I know, but I wasn't sure you'd... She stopped. Thank you. Morrison gestured toward the door. He's awake but medicated. We've got maybe 15 minutes before the nurses kick us out. I need you to listen to everything he says, Jake. Every word, every detail. You hear something that doesn't match what you remember from that night, you tell me immediately. Why me? Because you're not a cop. You don't have preconceptions about how things should sound. You just heard what you heard. Maria's eyes met his. And right now we need someone we can trust absolutely. They went in. Officer Danny Reeves looked worse than Maria had in the ER. Chest wrapped in bandages, face gray tubes everywhere. But his eyes were sharp when he saw them. Morrison, Torres. His voice was rough, damaged. They told me someone pulled her out of that alley. This is Jake Lawson, Morrison said. He's the one. Reeves studied Jake for a long moment. You got a death wish or just stupid? Little of both, Jake said. That got a weak laugh that turned into a cough. Maria moved to his side, adjusted his pillow. Danny, we need to go through it again. Everything from the beginning. I already told you. Tell me again. But this time, Jake's going to listen. He was there, Danny. He heard them. Reeves's eyes shifted to Jake, then back to Maria. Something flickered there. Fear, maybe. Or guilt. We got the call at 8:45. Anonymous tip about the warehouse on Willow. Major shipment coming in, weapons and product, whole operation supposed to go down at 10. Who took the call? Morrison asked. Dispatch. Hendricks, I think. She patched it through to Lieutenant Chen, and Chen greenlit the operation. Said we'd been waiting for this break for months. Maria leaned forward. Chen told you to go? Yeah. Gave us the go-ahead, said backup was 15 minutes out. We were supposed to observe until they arrived, then move in. Reeves shifted, winced. But when we got there, the warehouse was dark. No activity, no vehicles, nothing. So why'd you go in? Jake asked. Everyone looked at him. He almost apologized for speaking, then remembered Morrison said he was supposed to be here. Reeves met his eyes. Because Maria saw movement inside, through the window, second floor, someone with a flashlight. I did see someone, Maria said. I'm sure of it. So we went in. Took the back entrance, moved through the ground floor. Everything was empty. Cleared every room, nothing. Reeves's breathing got heavier. Then we heard voices upstairs. 2 men, maybe 3, talking about a delivery. Morrison wrote faster. You heard them say, delivery. Yeah. And something about keeping it quiet until the heat dies down. Reeves closed his eyes. We started up the stairs, and that's when it all went wrong. The room was silent, except for the machines beeping. Someone was waiting at the top. 3 guys, like Maria said. They opened fire immediately. I took 2 rounds in the chest, went down hard. My vest caught one, but the other went through. His hand moved to his ribs. 3rd shot hit my shoulder when I was already down. You see their faces? Morrison asked. Masks, all wearing masks. But one of them... Reeves stopped. What? One of them was wearing a ring. Heavy gold police academy ring. I saw it when he raised his gun. The air went cold. Maria's face had gone white. You're sure? I'm sure. Academy class ring, year 2019. I saw it for maybe 2 seconds before he fired. Morrison and Maria exchanged looks. Jake didn't understand the significance, but he could feel it. Something huge. Something that changed everything. What happened after you went down? Morrison's voice was carefully controlled. I heard Maria fighting. She got one of them, I think. Heard a body hit the ground. Then more gunfire, and I heard her running. I tried to follow, but I couldn't move. Lost too much blood. His voice dropped. I thought we were both dead. You remember anything else? Anything they said? Reeves was quiet for a long moment. When I was lying there before I passed out, I heard footsteps coming back. One of them stood over me, and he said something to the others. He said, check downstairs. Make sure the package is secure. Package? Jake asked. That's what he said, like they were guarding something. Maria's hands were shaking. Danny, did you see anyone else? Anyone at all? No, just the 3 shooters. But... He stopped again. But what? But when I was going in and out of consciousness, I heard a car. Nice car, expensive engine. It pulled up close, idled for maybe 30 seconds, then drove away. I remember thinking it was weird, because the warehouse district is all industrial. Nobody drives through there at night unless they're up to something. Morrison closed his notepad. You did good, Danny. Get some rest. But Reeves grabbed Maria's wrist. Torres, whoever set this up, knew our route, knew our timing, knew exactly where we'd be. That's not a leak. That's someone in command. They filed out of the room. In the hallway, Maria leaned against the wall, breathing hard. A 2019 Academy ring. That's a specific class. We can narrow that down to maybe 40 officers across 3 counties. Morrison was already on his phone. I'm pulling the roster now, but Maria, if one of them is involved, then we assume they all could be. She looked at Jake. What did you hear that night in the alley before I passed out? What exactly did those men say? Jake thought back. The darkness, the fear, Bruno growling. The shorter one said, we should finish this. The taller one said, he's got a dog. And then they backed off when Bruno charged. He paused. But there was something else. Right before you called for help, I heard you say something. You said, he's here, he's watching. Maria's eyes went wide. I said that? Yeah. Right before you passed out. You kept repeating, he's watching, he's watching. I don't remember that. Morrison stepped closer. Who was watching Maria? Who did you see? I don't know. I don't remember seeing anyone except the shooters. She pressed her hands to her face. But maybe I saw someone before I got hit. Maybe that's what I was trying to say. Jake's mind was racing. Reeves said he heard an expensive car. What if whoever was watching drove away before I got there? What if they saw me coming and left? That would mean they were close enough to see the alley from the street, Morrison said. Close enough to watch the whole thing happen. Maria pushed off the wall. We need to go back to the warehouse, now. You're not cleared for duty. I don't care. If someone was watching, there might be evidence. Tire tracks, surveillance footage, something. She looked at Morrison. You know I'm right. Morrison hesitated, then nodded. Fine, but we do this by the book. Full team, proper documentation, no cowboy stuff. When have I ever done cowboy stuff? You want the list alphabetically or chronologically? That almost got a smile from her. Jake followed them to the elevator. He should probably get back to Ella, to Hayes, to the relative safety of the SUV. But something was pulling him forward, some need to see this through. They rode down in silence. The service bay was exactly as they'd left it. Hayes sat in the driver's seat, engine still running. Ella was asleep in the back finally. Morrison walked over, spoke quietly with Hayes. She nodded, pulled out her phone. Maria stood next to Jake. You should go back to the safe house. Probably. But you're not going to. Probably not. She looked at him sideways. Why, this isn't your fight. It became my fight when they photographed my daughter sleeping. Jake's voice was flat. I want to know who did this. I want to see their face. And then what? Then I make sure they never threaten her again. Maria was quiet for a moment. Be careful, Jake. Revenge is a quick way to lose yourself. I'm not looking for revenge. I'm looking for justice. Sometimes they look the same until it's too late. Morrison came back. Hayes is taking Ella back to the safe house. Patterson will stay with her. We're heading to the warehouse, the 3 of us. Morrison, he's a civilian. He's a witness, and he might see something we don't. Besides, you said it yourself. We need people we can trust. Morrison looked at Jake. You good with this? Jake looked at Ella, still sleeping. Safe for now. Then he looked at Maria, at Morrison, at the path they were asking him to walk. Yeah, I'm good. They took Morrison's car, a nondescript sedan that screamed unmarked police. The drive to the warehouse district took 20 minutes. Old industrial buildings, most abandoned, some barely holding on. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody asked questions. The warehouse on Willow was cordoned off with police tape but otherwise looked untouched. Morrison pulled up across the street, killed the engine. Crime scene units swept this place twice. Found blood shell casings, signs of struggle. Everything matched your stories. But they didn't find anything that identified the shooters. Maria was already out of the car, moving toward the building. Jake and Morrison followed. Inside the warehouse was exactly what Jake imagined. Empty pallets, broken glass, graffiti on the walls. The kind of place where hope went to die. Maria led them upstairs, moving carefully, one hand pressed to her side where the wound was still healing. The second floor was worse. Blood stains on the concrete, marked and photographed but still visible. This was where Reeves went down, where Maria fought for her life. She stood in the center of the room, turning slowly. I came up the stairs here. Danny was behind me. The shooters were waiting by those windows. She pointed. One opened fire immediately. Danny went down. I returned fire, hit one of them, I think. Then I ran. Where? Morrison asked. Backstairs on the other side. I made it maybe halfway down before one of them caught up. That's where I got stabbed. She moved toward a door marked exit. I fell, tried to keep going, made it to the alley somehow. Jake followed her down the back stairs. The alley was narrow, exactly as he remembered. The brick wall where she'd been slumped, the shadows where the men had emerged, the spot where Bruno had charged. But now in daylight, he could see something he'd missed that night. Across the alley, maybe 30 feet away, there was a parking area. Not much, just a small lot that probably served the warehouse next door. And in that lot, there were tire tracks. Fresh tire tracks. Morrison saw them too. He was already moving phone out, calling for a crime scene unit. Maria crouched next to the tracks. Expensive tires. Performance tread, probably luxury vehicle. Reeves was right about hearing a nice car. Jake walked the perimeter of the lot. The tracks led in from the north, circled once, then exited south. Like someone had pulled in, watched for a minute, then left. But what caught his attention was something else. On the ground, near where the car had idled, there was a cigarette butt. He pointed it out to Morrison, who was already pulling on gloves. Brand? Maria asked. Morrison examined it carefully. Nat Sherman. Expensive. Not the kind you buy at a gas station. Bag it, Maria said. DNA might give us something. Jake stood in the spot where the car had been and looked toward the alley. Perfect line of sight. Whoever had been here could see everything. Could watch Maria fight for her life. Could watch Jake try to save her. Could watch the whole thing unfold like a movie. And then they'd just driven away. What kind of person watches someone die and does nothing? Jake asked. Maria's voice was hard. The kind who wanted it to happen. A crime scene van pulled up. Techs piled out, started processing the lot. Morrison was on his phone calling in favors, pushing for rush analysis on the cigarette. Maria walked back to the alley, stood where Jake had found her. You know what I keep thinking about, she said quietly. What? If you hadn't come when you did, if Bruno hadn't chased them off, whoever was in that car would have just watched me bleed out. They would have sat there in their expensive vehicle smoking their expensive cigarettes and watched me die. But I did come. Yeah, you did. She looked at him. And now they want you dead too. How's that for gratitude? I've had worse weeks. That got a small laugh from her. Morrison came back. Techs say the tire tracks are from a BMW or Mercedes, probably 7 Series or S-Class based on the width and tread. They'll run it through traffic cams, see if we can find any matches in the area that night. What about the cigarette? Rush DNA analysis results in 48 hours if we're lucky. But even if we get a match, it only helps if they're in the system. And if they're not, Jake asked, then we're back to square one. Maria shook her head. No, we're not. Because now we know there was a fourth person. Someone who set this up, watched it happen, and is still out there. Morrison's phone rang. He answered, listened, his face going tight. When? How long ago? He hung up and looked at Maria. It's Reeves. He coded 15 minutes ago. They got him back, but he's critical. He said something before he went under. Morrison paused. He said, tell Torres I lied. It wasn't 3 shooters, it was 4. And I know who the 4th was. The words hung in the air like smoke. He's still alive. Maria was already moving toward the car. Barely. But Maria, he said something else. Morrison grabbed her arm. He said, "Don't trust Chen. She's in on it." Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the one who'd greenlit the operation, the one who'd sent them into the ambush. Maria's face went white, then red with fury. That's why everything lined up so perfectly. That's why they knew exactly where we'd be. Her voice shook. Chen sent us to die. Jake's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct he answered. A voice he didn't recognize, male calm, almost pleasant. "Mr. Lawson, you've been very busy today. Hospital visits, warehouse investigations. You're making this harder than it needs to be." Who is this? Someone who's trying to prevent further bloodshed. Someone who's giving you one last chance to walk away. Go to hell. That's unfortunate, because my colleagues are currently watching your daughter at the safe house. Patterson is a good officer, but he's alone. 3 against 1. I wonder how long he'll last. Jake's heart stopped. If you touch her, then stop investigating. Stop helping Officer Torres. Go home, forget everything you've seen, and your daughter gets to grow up. The voice never changed tone. You have 1 hour to decide. After that, Patterson dies, and we come for Ella. Understood? The line went dead. Jake's hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the phone. They're at the safe house. They're going after Ella. Morrison was already running for the car, radio in hand, calling for backup. Maria right behind him. Jake didn't remember getting in, didn't remember the drive, just the sick terror eating through his chest. The safe house was 40 minutes away. They'd been gone for 90 minutes. Morrison drove like the world was ending, lights flashing, siren blaring. Other cars scattered like leaves. Maria was on her phone trying to reach Patterson Hayes, anyone. No answer. Drive faster, Jake said. His voice didn't sound like his own. I'm doing 80 in a 40. Drive faster. They made it in 32 minutes. The safe house looked normal from the outside. No broken windows, no signs of struggle. Morrison pulled up, gun already drawn. Stay in the car. That's my daughter. And if you run in there untrained, you'll get her killed. Stay in the car. Morrison and Maria moved toward the house, weapons up, professional and careful. They cleared the perimeter, checked windows, approached the door. It was unlocked. Jake watched them go inside, every second an eternity. His phone was clenched so tight it creaked. Bruno, stuck in the back of the safe house, was barking frantically. He could hear it even from here. Then Morrison appeared in the doorway. His expression told Jake everything. Jake was out of the car before he could think, running toward the house, Morrison trying to stop him. Jake, wait! He pushed past into the living room. Patterson was on the floor, unconscious but breathing. Signs of a fight, furniture, overturned, blood on the wall. The house was empty. Ella was gone. And on the kitchen table, held down by a knife driven through the wood, was a note written in that same red marker from before. Now you know we're serious. Stop digging or she dies. You have 24 hours. Jake's legs gave out. He hit the floor hard. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process the reality that his daughter was in the hands of people who'd already tried to kill Maria twice. Maria was talking. Morrison was calling for paramedics, officers were flooding the house, but Jake heard none of it. All he heard was Ella's voice from this morning. I want to stay with you. I'll be safe with you. And he'd left her anyway. Jake couldn't move, couldn't think. His entire world had collapsed into that single piece of paper with red letters screaming at him that he'd failed the one person who mattered most. Maria's hand on his shoulder brought him back. Jake, look at me. He looked up. Her face was hard, but her eyes were gentle. We're going to find her. You hear me? We're going to get Ella back. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because whoever took her wants leverage, not a body. They need her alive to control you. She pulled him to his feet. Which means we have time. Not much, but enough. Morrison was crouched next to Patterson, checking his pulse. He's stable. Looks like he took a blow to the head, probably ambushed. 3 against 1, like they said. How'd they get past security? Maria's voice was sharp. This place is supposed to be off the books." "Chen knew," Morrison said quietly. "If Reeves was right and she's involved, she had access to every safe house location in the system." Jake's phone buzzed. Unknown number again. He answered before Morrison could stop him. "We have your daughter." The voice was different this time, younger with an edge of cruelty the first caller hadn't had. "Let me talk to her." "That's not how this works." "Let me talk to her or I don't cooperate with anything." Silence. Then rustling sounds. Then Ella's voice, small and terrified. "Daddy." Jake's knees almost buckled again. "Baby girl, are you okay? Did they hurt you?" "I'm scared, Daddy. I want to come home." "I know, baby. I'm going to come get you." "Okay, I promise. The phone was ripped away. The cruel voice came back. "Touching, really. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop investigating. You're going to convince Officer Torres to drop her case. You're going to forget everything you've seen and heard. And then you'll let her go. Eventually. That's not good enough. It's the only deal you're getting." The voice hardened. "You've got 24 hours. After that, we start sending pieces." The line went dead. Jake stared at the phone. His hands had stopped shaking. Something cold and focused had taken over, pushing down the panic, the fear, everything except the singular need to get his daughter back. "They want us to stop," he said. Morrison nodded. "Standard intimidation. Make the threat real enough that you comply." "So we stop." Maria's head snapped toward him. "What? We stop investigating. We drop the case. We do exactly what they want." Jake met her eyes. "And while they think we're backing off, we find them." Understanding crossed her face. "You want to pretend to cooperate. I want to make them think they won. Let their guard down. Then we hit them when they're not expecting it." Morrison was already shaking his head. "That's a huge risk. If they suspect for even a second that you're playing them, then Ella dies and I might as well be dead too." Jake's voice was steel. "But if we keep pushing openly, they'll know we're coming. This way we buy time." Maria looked at Morrison. "He's right. We need them to think they've neutralized the threat. And how exactly do we investigate while pretending not to?" "We go dark," Maria said. "No official channels, no department resources they can track. We work this off the books." Morrison rubbed his face. "You're asking me to run an unauthorized investigation while lying to my superiors, some of whom might be dirty cops. I'm asking you to help me save a 7-year-old girl." They stared at each other for a long moment. Morrison sighed. "If this goes sideways, we're all finished. Fired, charged, probably jailed. If it goes sideways, Ella's dead. I'll take fired over that any day." "All right. But we do this smart. No cowboys, no heroics." Morrison pulled out his phone. "First thing, I'm calling in sick. You do the same, Torres. As of right now, we're officially off this case due to stress and injury." Maria was already dialing. "Lieutenant Chen, it's Torres. I need to take medical leave. Doctor's orders my wound isn't healing right, and I'm compromised in the field." She listened, her face neutral. "Yes, ma'am, I understand. I'll file the paperwork today." She hung up. "Chen bought it. Told me to take all the time I need." "Because she thinks she won," Jake said. "Let's keep it that way." Morrison headed for the door. "We need somewhere to work that's completely off-grid. Somewhere Chen and her people can't track us." Jake thought for a second. "My garage. It's been closed since this started. No cameras, no electronic records of who comes and goes. Just an old building with tools and cars. They might have it under surveillance. Then we go in at night, through the back, and we make it look like I'm just checking on the place, making sure nobody broke in while I was gone." Morrison considered this. "It could work. But Jake, if we're doing this, you need to understand something. These people have already shown they'll kill cops and kidnap children. If they catch us investigating, they won't hesitate." "Good. Neither will I." Something in Jake's tone made both cops look at him differently, like they were seeing someone new, someone harder. They left the safe house after the paramedics took Patterson. He'd regained consciousness, couldn't remember much, except that 3 men in masks had come through the door so fast he didn't have time to draw his weapon. One hit from behind, lights out, woke up to Morrison calling his name. "I'm sorry," Patterson said, looking at Jake. "I should have been ready. They knew exactly how to hit this place. That's not on you." But Patterson's face said he didn't believe it. Hayes met them at Morrison's car. She'd heard about Ella on the radio, and her expression was grim. "What do you need?" "We need you to file an official report that we're suspending the investigation pending medical evaluation and witness safety concerns," Morrison said. "Make it look completely legitimate. And off the record." "Off the record, we're going hunting." Hayes nodded once. "I'll cover the official side. You 3 do what needs to be done." She looked at Jake. "Bring her home." "I will." They drove to Jake's apartment first. It felt like years since he'd been there, not days. The door was still marked with police tape from when they'd dusted for prints. Jake ignored it and went inside. Everything was exactly as they'd left it. Ella's cereal bowl still in the sink, her backpack by the door, her drawings on the refrigerator. The elephant on her bed still facing the wrong direction, the Polaroid gone, but the memory of it seared into Jake's brain. He grabbed his laptop, some clothes, the emergency cash he kept in a lockbox under his bed. Then he went to the closet and pulled out something he hadn't touched in 5 years. A lockbox with his wife's service weapon. She'd been a security guard before Ella was born, had kept the gun, even after she stopped working. Jake had locked it away after she died, couldn't stand looking at it, couldn't stand the memories. Now he checked the magazine. Fully loaded. He tucked it into his waistband. Maria saw it, but didn't comment. They got to the garage after midnight. The street was dark. Most businesses closed, only a few cars passing. Jake used his key on the side door, the one that didn't face the street, and they slipped inside. The garage smelled like motor oil and old coffee. Familiar. Safe. Jake flipped on a single work light over his main bench, keeping the rest dark. Morrison spread out everything they had. Photos from the crime scene, notes from Reeves's interview, the analysis of the tire tracks and cigarette butt. "Let's start with what we know for sure," he said. Lieutenant Chen greenlit the operation. She had access to Maria's undercover work, knew the timing, knew the location. "She's our primary suspect." "But she didn't pull the trigger," Maria added. "She's command level. She gives orders, other people do the dirty work." "So who does she work with?" Jake asked. "Who are her people?" Morrison pulled up personnel files on his phone. Chen's been with the department 18 years. Solid record commendations, couple of internal affairs investigations that went nowhere. "What kind of investigations?" "Use of force complaints mostly. And one accusation of evidence tampering that got dismissed due to lack of proof." Morrison scrolled through. "She came up through narcotics, made lieutenant 5 years ago." "Narcotics," Maria said. "That's how she'd know the drug networks. That's how she'd know who to protect and who to set up." "Who else is in her unit?" Morrison pulled up more files. "Captain Hayes, but we know she's clean. Sergeant Willis been there 12 years. Detective Carson 8 years. Officer Mendez 6 years. "Mendez graduated in 2019, Maria said suddenly. "Same class as the academy ring." They all looked at each other. Morrison pulled up Mendez's file. "Luis Mendez, 28, unmarried, no disciplinary actions on record." "Too clean," Maria said. "Nobody's that clean after 6 years on narcotics. Pull his financial records." "That requires a warrant." "We're off the books, remember. Use your contacts. Call in favors. Get me something." Morrison stepped outside to make calls. Jake sat on a workbench, the weight of the gun against his back, a constant reminder of how far he'd already fallen from his normal life. A week ago, his biggest worry was a transmission. Now he was armed and planning to take down dirty cops to save his daughter. "You okay?" Maria asked. "No." "Good." The minute you're okay is the minute you stop being useful. She sat next to him. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this is your fault. That if you hadn't helped me, Ella would be safe. Isn't it? No, it's the fault of the people who took her. Don't let them put that on you. Feels like the same thing. It's not. Maria's voice was firm. You did the right thing. They're doing evil things. Those aren't equal. Tell that to Ella. I will, when we get her back. Morrison came back inside. Got a contact in financial crimes who owes me. Mendez's records should be here in an hour off the books. What about Chen? Working on it, but she's higher profile. Harder to pull without raising flags. Jake's phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. A photo. Ella sitting in a chair, hands zip-tied in front of her. She looked terrified, but unhurt. Behind her, a concrete wall, no windows, no identifying features. Below the photo, tick-tock. 20 hours. Jake showed it to Maria and Morrison. At least we know she's alive, Morrison said. We need to trace this number. Already tried. Burn her just like the others. Probably toss it after each use. Maria studied the photo. That wall. It's industrial concrete block construction. Could be anywhere. Wait. Jake zoomed in on the background. There. On the floor. See that stain pattern? Morrison looked closer. Oil. Automotive oil by the color. They're keeping her in a garage or warehouse, somewhere cars have been. Jake's mind was racing. How many locations like that are connected to Chen's unit? Could be dozens. Impound lots. Evidence storage seized properties. So we narrow it down. What properties has Chen's unit seized in the last 6 months that fit this description? Morrison was already pulling up records. Here, 4 warehouses, 2 auto shops, 1 impound facility. All connected to drug investigations, all under Chen's oversight. That's where we start. We check each one. Jake, that'll take hours. And if we're wrong, then we keep looking. But we have to start somewhere. Maria stood up. He's right. Split up, move fast. Jake and I take the first 3 locations. Morrison, you take the others. Neither of you are armed. Jake lifted his shirt, showing the gun. Morrison's eyes widened. That's not registered. I don't care. If you shoot someone with an unregistered weapon, if I shoot someone, it's because they're trying to keep me from my daughter. I'll deal with the consequences after. Morrison looked like he wanted to argue, then just nodded. Fine, but rules of engagement. We're doing reconnaissance only. We find Ella. We call for backup before we move. Understood? Understood, Maria said. Jake said nothing. They split up. Morrison took his car, headed north to the impound facility. Jake and Maria took Jake's truck, headed east to the first warehouse on the list. The drive was silent. Jake kept seeing that photo. Ella's face, the fear in her eyes. Every red light felt like torture. Talk to me, Maria said. Keep your head clear. I can't. Yes, you can. Tell me about her. Tell me what she's like. Why? Because if you shut down now, you're no good to her. So talk. Jake's hands tightened on the wheel. She loves to draw. Fills up notebooks with pictures of butterflies and princesses and crazy monsters. She's scared of the dark, but pretends she's not, because she thinks it makes her brave. His voice cracked. She asks a million questions about everything. Why is the sky blue? Why do dogs bark? Why did mommy have to die? And I try to answer them, but I don't know half the time. I'm just making it up as I go. That's called being a parent. She deserves better than a mechanic who doesn't know what he's doing. She deserves a father who runs into alleys to save strangers, who stands up to armed men when he has every reason to run, who's willing to risk everything to get her back. Maria looked at him. You're exactly what she deserves, Jake. Don't let them make you think otherwise. The first warehouse was abandoned. Broken windows, graffiti, no signs of recent use. Jake checked it anyway, walked the entire perimeter with his gun drawn while Maria kept watch. Nothing. Second location was an auto shop, but it was active lights on mechanics working late. Wrong place. Third location looked more promising. Industrial building, padlocked gate, no lights. Jake parked a block away, and they approached on foot. The gate was new. Heavy chain, expensive lock. Someone was protecting this place. "Boost me over," Maria said. "You're injured." "I'm functional. Boost me." Jake made a stirrup with his hands. Maria climbed over, dropped on the other side with barely a sound. Professional. She'd done this before. She unlocked the gate from the inside, and Jake slipped through. The building was dark. They moved along the wall, checking windows. Most were blocked or painted over, but one around the back had a crack in the covering. Jake peered through. Inside was a large open space. Cars in various states of disrepair, tool benches, parts scattered around, and in the corner a door marked "Office." Light coming from under the door. Someone was here. Jake's heart hammered. "I'm going in." "Wait for Morrison." "No time. If they move her." "Jake, if you go in there alone and they're armed, you're dead, and Ella's still captive. We need backup." Jake knew she was right. Hated it, but knew it. He pulled out his phone to call Morrison. It buzzed before he could dial. Text message. "Morrison. Found something. Impound facility has fresh tire tracks matching the warehouse. Someone was here recently. Moving in to check. Then, 30 seconds later, multiple vehicles inside. Armed guards. This is it. Calling for backup." Another text. "Wait. I hear a child crying." Then nothing. Jake called. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. "Something's wrong," he said. Maria tried calling too. Same result. He walked into a trap. Jake was already running back to the truck. "Then we're going to get him out." "Jake, we need a plan." "The plan is we go there. We find Ella and Morrison, and we get them out. That's the plan." He started the engine. Maria jumped in, still arguing, but Jake was done listening, done planning, done being careful. His daughter was somewhere in this city, scared and alone. His friend was walking into danger, and the people responsible thought they could threaten him into submission. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The impound facility was north side, 20-minute drive. Jake made it in 12 running lights, weaving through traffic. Maria stopped arguing and started checking her weapon. "I've got 8 rounds, she said. "How many you got?" 15. "Against how many guards?" "Don't know, don't care." "Jake, I'm not leaving her there. I don't care if there's 100 guards. I'm not leaving without my daughter." Maria looked at him for a long moment, then she nodded. "Okay, then we do this smart. Fast and smart." "How?" "We don't go in the front. We find another way in. Stay quiet, locate Morrison and Ella before anyone knows we're there. Once we have them, we move fast and loud. Create chaos, get out before they can organize. What if they have lookouts? Then we take them down quietly first." Jake had never hurt anyone in his life, never thrown a real punch outside of high school. But right now, looking at Maria's serious expression, he knew he could do it. Would do it. Would do whatever it took. They parked 3 blocks away and approached on foot. The facility was surrounded by chain-link fence floodlights at intervals, main gate secured with a guard shack. One guard visible, smoking a cigarette weapon on his hip. Not a cop. Private security. Maria moved like a ghost, circling around to where the fence met a building. She found a weak spot where someone had cut the links and twisted them back together to hide the damage. She pulled the fence apart, and they slipped through. Inside the facility was maze-like. Rows of impounded vehicles, containers, storage units. Easy to get lost. Easy to hide. They moved between vehicles, staying low. Jake's heart was a drum, every sound too loud, every shadow a threat. Then he heard it. Someone crying. Soft, trying to be quiet. Ella. Jake moved toward the sound without thinking. Maria grabbed his arm, held him back, shook her head, pointed to her eyes. "Watch first." Jake forced himself to stop to look to assess. The crying was coming from a storage container about 30 yards away. Door partially open, light inside. Two men standing guard, both armed, both in street clothes. Not security, not cops. Hired muscle. And next to the container on the ground was Morrison, unconscious, hands zip-tied behind his back, blood on his face. Jake's vision narrowed. Rage pure and focused. Maria saw it. Put her hand over his mouth, whispered in his ear. "I know. But we need them alive to talk. Alive, Jake. You hear me?" He nodded. She pulled out her phone, texted someone, then showed Jake the screen. Hayes. Backup en route. ETA 15 minutes. 15 minutes might as well be forever. But they waited. Watched. Counted guards. Jake saw 4 total. 2 at the container, 1 patrolling the perimeter, 1 in the guard shack at the front. 4 against 2. Bad odds, but not impossible. Then a car pulled up. Expensive car. BMW. Black. Someone stepped out. Female. Dressed in professional clothes. Lieutenant Chen. She walked to the container like she owned the place, spoke to one of the guards. He nodded, opened the door wider. Chen stepped inside. Jake heard her voice, cold and precise. "Hello, Ella. My name is Sarah. I'm a police officer." Ella's crying got louder. "I want my daddy." "I know you do, sweetheart, and you'll see him very soon. But first I need you to help me with something." "I don't want to help you. Let me go." "That's not how this works. You see, your daddy made some bad choices. He got involved in things he shouldn't have. Now he needs to learn that actions have consequences." "My daddy's a good person." "I'm sure he is, but good people sometimes do stupid things. And now you're going to help me teach him a lesson." Jake couldn't wait anymore. He stood up. Maria tried to pull him back, but he was moving, gun out, focused on nothing except getting to that container. One of the guards saw him, shouted, reached for his weapon. Jake shot him. The sound was massive in the enclosed space. The guard went down, clutching his leg, screaming. The other guard spun, weapon coming up. Maria shot him in the shoulder. He dropped. Chen appeared in the container doorway, her own weapon drawn, using the doorframe as cover. "Mr. Lawson? How predictable." "Let her go." "Or what?" "You'll shoot a police officer, that'll go well for you." "I'll shoot anyone who tries to keep me from my daughter." Noble. Stupid, but noble. Chen's voice was calm, like they were discussing the weather. "You should have walked away when you had the chance." "So should you." Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Chen heard them too. Her expression tightened. "Seems we're out of time. But don't worry, Mr. Lawson. We'll finish this conversation soon." She fired twice, forcing Jake and Maria to dive behind a car. When Jake looked up again, Chen was gone, sprinting toward her BMW. Jake didn't chase her. He ran for the container. Ella was inside, zip-tied to a chair, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. When she saw him, something broke in her face, and then reformed into pure relief. "Daddy!" He cut her free and pulled her into his arms, held her so tight he thought he might crush her, never wanted to let go again. "I've got you, baby girl. I've got you. You're safe now." She buried her face in his chest, shaking all over. "I was so scared." I know, but it's over now. It's over." Maria was checking Morrison. He was coming around, groaning, trying to sit up. "Easy. You took a hit to the head." "Chen, she was here. We saw. She got away." "No." Morrison pushed himself up, swaying. "She can't get away. If she does, police cars flooded the facility. Real cops this time." Hayes was first through the gate, weapon drawn, taking in the scene. "Morrison, Jake, Maria. Anyone hurt?" "We're okay," Maria said. "But Chen was here. She's running." "I've got units on her vehicle. We'll find her." Jake wasn't listening. He was holding Ella, rocking her gently, whispering that everything would be okay, even though he knew it wasn't. Not yet. Not until Chen was in custody and this nightmare was truly over. But for now, in this moment, his daughter was in his arms. And that was enough. Hayes radioed for ambulances while uniformed officers secured the scene. The two guards Jake and Maria had shot were cuffed and loaded into separate vehicles, both screaming about lawsuits and police brutality. Jake didn't care. Let them scream. Ella wouldn't let go of him. Her small hands clutched his shirt so tight her knuckles were white. Every time he tried to set her down so the paramedics could check her, she panicked. "No, Daddy, don't leave me. Please don't leave me." "I'm not leaving. I'm right here, baby girl. I just need them to make sure you're okay." I'm okay. Please don't go." A female paramedic, middle-aged with kind eyes, knelt down to their level. "Hey, sweetheart. My name's Linda. I'm not going to take you from your dad, I promise. I just need to check a few things while he holds you okay. He can hold you the whole time." Ella nodded against Jake's chest. Linda worked quickly and gently. Blood pressure, heart rate checked for injuries. Ella had some bruising on her wrists from the zip ties and a small cut on her cheek, but otherwise she was physically unharmed. Emotionally was another story. Morrison was on his feet now, refusing a stretcher, arguing with another paramedic about going to the hospital. "I'm fine, just a headache." "You have a concussion, Sergeant. You need a CT scan." "What I need is to find Lieutenant Chen before she disappears completely." Hayes stepped between them. "Morrison, you're done for tonight. That's an order. Go to the hospital, get checked out, then go home. We'll handle Chen." "Captain?" That wasn't a suggestion. Morrison looked like he wanted to argue more, but the exhaustion and pain won out. He nodded once and let the paramedics guide him to an ambulance. Hayes turned to Jake and Maria. "You two, on the other hand, have a lot of explaining to do. Unauthorized investigation, discharged weapons assault with a deadly weapon. You know how bad this looks." "I know," Maria said. "But Chen was here. She kidnapped a 7-year-old child. She's the leak. She set up the ambush. She's running the whole operation." "I believe you. But you went off the books to prove it. You broke about 15 protocols and probably twice as many laws." Hayes rubbed her temples. "I'm going to have to put you both on administrative leave pending investigation." "Fine," Maria said. "As long as you actually investigate Chen." "Every available unit is looking for her. We've got her plates, her description alerts at every border crossing and airport within 500 miles. She's not getting away." Jake wasn't so sure about that. Chen had been planning this for months, maybe years. She probably had contingencies, escape routes, false identities. People that deep in corruption didn't get caught easily. Hayes must have seen something in his face. "We will find her, Mr. Lawson. I promise you that." "Promises don't mean much right now, Captain." "Fair enough. But I need you to trust me anyway. Take your daughter home. Let us do our job." Home. Jake realized he didn't even know where home was anymore. The apartment didn't feel safe. The safe house was compromised. His garage was a crime scene planning room. Where am I supposed to go? Hayes thought for a moment. I've got a cabin about an hour north. It's in my husband's name, completely off the grid, no connection to the department. Take Ella there, lay low for a few days while we clean this up. You trust me with that after what I just did? You just shot 2 men to save your daughter. You're probably going to face charges for it. But yeah, I trust you. Hayes pulled out a key from her personal keychain. Address is programmed in the GPS under Haven. Door code is 1847. There's food heat and, most importantly, nobody knows about it except family. Jake took the key. It felt heavier than it should. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. When this is over, you're going to have to answer for tonight. But for now, keep Ella safe. An officer approached Hayes with an evidence bag. Inside was a cell phone. Captain, we found this in Chen's vehicle. She ditched the car 3 blocks away and ran on foot. Phone was still in the cup holder. Hayes pulled on gloves and examined it. Smartphone encrypted. We'll need tech to crack it. Actually, Maria said, I know Chen's passcode. We all do. Department requires backup codes for emergency access to personnel phones. Hayes looked at her. That's for official use only. This is official. Chen kidnapped a child, shot 2 officers, and is running a drug operation from inside the department. I'd say that qualifies. Hayes hesitated, then handed Maria the phone. Make it quick before I change my mind. Maria punched in the code. The phone unlocked. She scrolled through messages, emails, call logs. Her face got darker with each swipe. She's been communicating with someone called M. Look at these messages. They go back 18 months. She showed Hayes the screen. Messages about shipment schedules, police operations, officer locations. And most damning, a message from 3 weeks ago: Torres is getting too close. We need to eliminate her before she connects us to the warehouse. M, Hayes said. Who's M? Could be anyone. First name, last name, code name. Maria kept scrolling. Wait, here. A meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Location tagged as usual spot. Where's usual spot? Maria checked the location tag. Riverside Park North Entrance. That's 2 miles from here. Hayes was already on her radio. All units, possible suspect meeting tomorrow at Riverside Park North Entrance, 6 a.m. I want surveillance teams in position by 5 plainclothes, only maintain distance. If Lieutenant Chen shows up, watch and wait. Let's see who else shows up with her. She turned back to Maria. If this M is her handler or partner, this could break the whole operation wide open. Or it's a trap, Jake said. She knows we have her phone by now. She knows we'll check it. Everyone looked at him. Think about it. Chen's smart. She planned all of this, stayed hidden for months, maybe years. You think she's careless enough to leave her phone in a car with incriminating evidence on it? Maria's face changed. He's right. She left it on purpose. She wants us at that park. Why? Hayes asked. Because she's not running. She's regrouping. Maria's voice was urgent. She needs to tie up loose ends. Morrison's still alive. I'm still alive. Reeves is still alive. We're all witnesses who can testify against her. She needs us dead before she can disappear. So the meeting's an ambush. The meeting's a kill box. She's going to lure every cop investigating her to one location and eliminate all of us at once. Hayes's expression went hard. Then we turn it around on her. We set our own trap. Captain, with all respect, she's been outmaneuvering us for months. What makes you think we can outthink her now? Because now she's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. Jake's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Not again. He answered, ready for more threats, more demands. Instead, he heard Chen's voice. Calm, collected, almost friendly. Mr. Lawson, I imagine you're quite relieved to have your daughter back. What do you want? Just to talk. To make sure you understand the situation you're in. I understand perfectly. You're a dirty cop who kidnapped my daughter. Now you're running. I prefer to think of it as relocating. But that's not why I called. I called to offer you a deal. I'm done making deals with you. Not even to save Officer Torres's life. Jake's blood went cold. He looked at Maria, who was standing right there, alive and well. What are you talking about? Check your email, Mr. Lawson. I just sent you something interesting. Jake pulled up his email on his phone. New message, no subject, from an anonymous account. He opened the attachment. It was a video, dated and time-stamped from earlier tonight. The camera angle was from inside what looked like a surveillance room, monitors showing multiple feeds. And there, clear as day, was Maria shooting the guard at the impound facility. See the problem? Chen's voice was silk. Officer Torres discharged her weapon at an unarmed security guard. That's attempted murder, and I have the video to prove it. That guard was armed. He was reaching for his weapon. Not in this video. Funny how editing works. Maria had gone pale. She understood immediately. Doctored evidence planted by someone with access to official systems. Chen could destroy her entire career, put her in prison with a single video file. "What do you want?" Jake asked again. "Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Riverside Park. You, Torres, and Morrison. Come alone, no backup, no surveillance teams. You do that, I give you the original unedited video, and everyone walks away." "You expect me to believe that?" "No, but I expect you to weigh your options. Either you trust me and maybe save Torres from prison, or you trust Hayes and definitely watch Torres get arrested for attempted murder. Your choice." The line went dead. Jake looked at Maria. "She's got video of you shooting that guard, edited to make it look like murder." "Of course she does." Maria's voice was bitter. "She's been planning for this exact scenario. Probably has dirt on all of us." Hayes took the phone, listened to Jake's explanation, watched him play back the voicemail Chen had left. "It's a setup. She's trying to separate you from protection." "I know it's a setup. But what if she really does have that video? What if she can destroy Maria's life with it? Then we deal with it through proper channels, internal affairs, independent investigation." "Captain, you know how that goes. Edited video, dirty cops backing Chen's story department trying to protect its reputation. Maria would be crucified before the truth came out." Hayes didn't argue, because they all knew he was right. Maria sat down heavily on the bumper of an ambulance. "She's won. Even if we catch her, she's got insurance. She can take me down with her." "No," Jake said. "She hasn't won. Not yet." "Jake, you heard her. She's got evidence. Fake evidence, which means the real evidence exists somewhere. We just need to find it before tomorrow morning." Morrison's voice came from behind them. He was supposed to be in an ambulance, but apparently he'd convinced the paramedics to let him walk around. "The phone," he said. "Chen's phone. If she's been recording and editing surveillance footage, she had to do it somewhere. Those files are huge, too big to handle on a phone. She needs a computer, probably in her office or at her home." Hayes was already moving. "I'll get warrants for both locations." "That'll take hours. We don't have hours." Morrison looked at Maria. "Where does Chen live?" "North Side Oak Street apartment building." "Then that's where we start. But we do this right. Legal by the book, so nothing gets thrown out in court later." Jake wanted to scream. While they were debating legality, Chen was destroying evidence, covering tracks, preparing to disappear forever. But he understood. If they caught her but couldn't prosecute, she'd just do this again somewhere else. They needed to end this completely. Hayes made calls, warrants, search teams, tech specialists. The machinery of law enforcement grinding into motion, painfully slow but unstoppable once started. An officer approached with another evidence bag. "Captain, we found this on one of the guards. Looks like a burner phone, but it's still active." Hayes examined it. Recent calls, all to the same number. She dialed it on speaker. It rang twice, then a voice answered. Male, older authority in his tone. "Status." Hayes's face went white. She knew that voice. "Captain Holloway," she said. Silence on the other end. Then the call disconnected. Captain Marcus Holloway. Hayes's direct superior. 20-year veteran of the department, decorated, respected, untouchable. "M," Maria whispered. "M for Marcus." Hayes looked like she'd been punched. No, Holloway's solid. He's been my mentor for 10 years. And he's been Chen's partner for at least 18 months, probably longer. Morrison's voice was grim. "That's how they've stayed hidden. Holloway has access to everything. Every investigation, every witness, every piece of evidence. He could bury anything he wanted." Hayes sat down hard. "If Holloway's involved, this goes deeper than we thought. He's got connections all the way to the commissioner's office." "Which means we can't trust anyone in the department," Maria said. "Chen and Holloway could have a dozen dirty cops protecting them." Jake held Ella closer. She'd finally fallen asleep in his arms, exhausted from terror and relief. He should take her to Hayes's cabin, get her far away from this mess. But he knew if he left now, Chen and Holloway would win. They'd destroy Maria, kill Morrison, and disappear into new identities while their drug empire kept running. "I'm going to the park tomorrow," he said quietly. Everyone started talking at once, arguing, telling him it was suicide. He waited for them to finish. "I'm going because Chen knows I will. She knows I won't let Maria take the fall for saving my daughter. So I go, I meet her. I wear a wire, and we get her confession on record. Jake, she'll search you. She'll find the wire. Then I don't wear one I can hide. I wear one in plain sight. Phone in my pocket, recording app running obvious enough that she'll check it and find it." He looked at Morrison. "But what she won't find is the backup recorder you're going to put in my belt buckle, or my watch, or whatever else you cops use." Morrison was nodding slowly. Two-layer deception. She finds the obvious wire, thinks she's safe, doesn't look for the real one. Exactly. "It's still incredibly dangerous," Hayes said. "If she suspects for even a second, she'll do what, kill me in a public park at 6 in the morning with joggers and dog walkers everywhere. She's too smart for that. She wants to talk, wants to make a deal, wants to walk away clean. We give her the illusion she's winning, and we record every word." Maria was looking at him with something like respect. "You've gotten good at this." "I've had a good teacher." Hayes made a decision. "All right, but we do this my way. Proper surveillance, sniper cover, tactical team on standby. At the first sign of trouble, we move in." "Agreed." "And Jake, you're not a cop. You're a civilian putting yourself in danger to help us. If this goes south, if you change your mind, you walk away. No judgment, no consequences. Understood?" Jake looked down at Ella, still sleeping, still trusting him to keep her safe. "Understood." They spent the next 4 hours preparing. Tech specialists fitted Jake with 2 recording devices, one in his phone, obvious and easy to find. The other built into his belt buckle, nearly invisible, broadcasting to a receiver Hayes would monitor from a surveillance van. They rehearsed scenarios. What to say, how to react, how to stall if things went wrong. Morrison walked Jake through interrogation techniques, ways to get Chen talking, keep her engaged, make her feel in control while she incriminated herself. At 2 in the morning, Hayes insisted Jake take Ella to the cabin and get a few hours of sleep. He argued, but she was right. He needed to be sharp tomorrow. Exhausted and sloppy could get him killed. The drive north was quiet. Ella woke up briefly when Jake carried her from the truck to the cabin, mumbled something about butterflies, then fell back asleep in the bedroom. Jake sat on the couch, staring at nothing. His phone buzzed. Text from Maria. "You don't have to do this, Jake." "Yes, I do." Maria. "Why?" "This isn't your fight anymore. Ella's safe. You could disappear, start over somewhere else." Jake thought about that. Take Ella. Move to another state. Change their names. Pretend none of this happened. Let the cops handle Chen and Holloway, and whoever else was involved. But he kept seeing Maria's face in that hospital bed, kept hearing her whisper, "Thank you for not walking away." Kept feeling Ella's arms around his neck saying, "Daddy's a hero." Jake. Because someone needs to stand up. Might as well be me. Maria. You're either very brave or very stupid. Jake, little of both. Maria. Like father, like daughter then. Ella was brave tonight. Never stopped fighting, never gave up hope. You raised her right. Jake. Her mom raised her right. I'm just trying not to screw it up. Maria. You're doing better than you think. Jake set the phone down and checked on Ella one more time. She was sprawled across the bed, mouth open, stuffed elephant clutched tight. Peaceful. Safe. He'd do whatever it took to keep her that way. At 5 a.m., Jake's alarm went off. He dressed quietly, checked his belt buckle recorder, made sure his phone was charged and ready. He wrote a note for Ella in case she woke up. Gone to help Miss Maria. Be back soon. I love you. Stay inside and don't open the door for anyone. Daddy. The drive back to the city took 50 minutes. He met Morrison and Hayes at a staging area 2 blocks from the park. Maria was there too, against medical advice, wearing a vest under a loose jacket. "You should be in bed," Jake said. "So should you." "Fair point." Hayes handed him an earpiece. "We'll be listening the whole time. You get in trouble, you say the word coffee, and we move in immediately." "Coffee, got it." Morrison checked Jake's belt buckle one more time. "This thing's good for about 2 hours of recording. Should be more than enough." "And if she searches me, let her find the phone. Act nervous about it. Make her think that's your only play." "I am nervous about it." "Even better. Genuine reactions sell better than acting." Hayes pulled up a tactical map of the park on her tablet. "North entrance, like she said. There's a pavilion about 50 yards in where people usually meet. That's probably where she'll want to talk. We've got snipers here, here, and here." She pointed to 3 positions. "Undercover officers posing as joggers here and here, and I'll be in the surveillance van right here with Maria monitoring audio." "What about Holloway?" Jake asked. "No sign of him yet. We've got units watching his house, his office, his usual spots. If he moves, we'll know." "He'll be at the park," Maria said. "That's why Chen wanted all of us there. She's delivering us to Holloway so he can clean house. Then we'll be ready for him." Jake checked his watch. 5:45. Time to go. They drove to the park in separate vehicles. Jake parked in the main lot, walked to the north entrance alone. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Beautiful morning. Wrong context. The park was quiet. A few early joggers. One guy walking his dog, nobody paying attention to Jake. He walked toward the pavilion, hands in his pockets, trying to look casual while his heart hammered. Chen was already there, sitting on a bench dressed in civilian clothes, looking relaxed. She smiled when she saw him. "Mr. Lawson, right on time. I appreciate punctuality." "Where's Torres? You said all 3 of us." "She'll be along. First, you and I need to chat." Chen gestured to the bench next to her. "Please sit." Jake sat, keeping distance between them. "You brought your phone?" she asked. "Yeah." "Recording our conversation, I assume." "No point lying." "Yeah." "May I see it?" Jake pulled out his phone, unlocked. It showed her the recording app running. Chen took it, stopped the recording, deleted the file, handed it back. "Nice try. A for effort. Worth a shot." "Indeed. Now then, let's talk about how this is going to work. You're going to convince Officer Torres to drop her investigation. You're going to testify that you never heard anyone in that alley, that you made a mistake, that you can't identify anyone. You're going to make this whole thing go away. And if I don't, then I release the video of Torres committing attempted murder. I release security footage showing you breaking into the impound facility and shooting 2 men, and I make sure both of you spend the next 20 years in prison while your daughter grows up in foster care." Chen's voice never lost its pleasant tone. "Or you cooperate and everyone walks away. Your choice." "That's not much of a choice. It's the only one you're getting." In his ear, Jake heard Hayes whisper, "Keep her talking. We need more." "What about Holloway?" Jake asked. "Is he part of this deal?" Chen's smile faltered slightly. "I don't know what you're talking about. Captain Marcus Holloway, your partner, M, the one running the whole operation while you do the dirty work." Chen stood up. "I think we're done here." "We're not done until you answer my question. How long has Holloway been protecting drug operations? How many people has he killed to keep it quiet? You're fishing. You don't know anything. I know you left your phone in your car on purpose. I know you wanted us to find that meeting notification. I know you're trying to lure us into a trap so Holloway can clean house." Chen's hand moved toward her jacket. Jake tensed, ready to run. Then a voice came from behind them. Male, authoritative, familiar to everyone listening through surveillance. "That's enough, Lieutenant Chen." Captain Marcus Holloway emerged from the trees, weapon drawn, pointed at Jake. "Get up slowly, Mr. Lawson. Hands where I can see them." Jake stood, hands raised. In his ear, Hayes was already mobilizing teams, but they were at least 30 seconds away. 30 seconds where Jake was alone with 2 dirty cops and a gun. "Captain Holloway," Jake said loudly, clearly making sure the belt buckle picked up every word. "Are you here to arrest Lieutenant Chen for kidnapping, corruption, and attempted murder?" Holloway actually laughed. "I'm here to clean up her mess." She was supposed to eliminate Torres and Reeves quietly. Instead, she created a civilian witness, a media circus, and left evidence everywhere. Sloppy Chen. Very sloppy. "I had it under control until he interfered." Chen gestured at Jake. "You never had it under control. That's why you're middle management, and I'm in command." Holloway's gun never wavered. "Now we're going to take a walk into the woods, Mr. Lawson. Nice and quiet. We wouldn't want to alarm the other park goers." "I'm not going anywhere with you." "Then I'll shoot you here and claim you pulled a weapon. Either way, you're dying this morning. Question is, how messy it gets." Footsteps running. Voices shouting. "Police, drop your weapon!" Holloway's eyes flicked to the approaching officers. His gun swung toward them. Jake didn't think. He lunged forward, grabbed Holloway's arm, twisted. The gun went off, but the bullet went wild. Then Morrison was there, tackling Holloway from behind. Maria right behind him, weapon out, covering Chen. On the ground. Now. Chen ran. Made it maybe 10 steps before Hayes appeared from the surveillance van, blocked her path, weapon raised. "Don't." Chen stopped. Looked around at the dozen officers closing in at the tactical team, emerging from cover at her own weapon still holstered because she'd never had a chance to draw it. "You're making a mistake," she said. "Captain Holloway is the ranking officer here. You should be." "Shut up," Hayes said. "Lieutenant Sarah Chen, you're under arrest for kidnapping, conspiracy, corruption, and about 15 other charges I'll think of on the way to the station. You have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you use it." Morrison had Holloway in cuffs, reading him his rights, while the captain cursed and threatened and promised everyone they'd regret this. Jake sat down hard on the bench, adrenaline draining away, leaving him shaky and exhausted. Maria sat next to him. "You okay?" "Define okay." "Still breathing. Not shot, daughter safe." "Then yeah, I'm okay." "That was stupid, by the way. Grabbing Holloway's gun. You could have been killed." "Seemed like a good idea at the time." "Most stupid ideas do." Hayes approached, pulling off her tactical vest. "That was good work, Jake. We got everything on recording. Holloway incriminating himself, Chen admitting to the setup. Between that and the evidence we seized from Chen's apartment, we've got enough to put them away for life." "What about the video she had of Maria?" "Already verified it was edited. Tech team found the original files on Chen's computer. Clean shoot, justified use of force. Maria's in the clear." Maria exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for hours. Morrison walked over, favoring his ribs, but grinning. "It's over. Actually over. Chen and Holloway in custody, their operation exposed, dirty cops being rounded up as we speak. We did it." Jake wanted to feel victorious, wanted to celebrate, but all he felt was tired. "I need to get back to Ella." "Go," Hayes said. "We'll need a statement eventually, but it can wait. Take your daughter home." Home. That word again. Jake stood up, shook everyone's hands, accepted their thanks and congratulations. But his mind was already north at a cabin with a 7-year-old girl who needed to know her father was safe. Maria walked him to his truck. "Thank you," she said. "For everything. For saving my life, for not walking away, for putting yourself in danger to help me. Thank you for reminding me what courage looks like. You had it all along. You just needed a reason to use it." "I had a reason. Her name's Ella." Maria smiled. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have her." He drove back to the cabin, the sun fully up now, turning everything gold. When he walked through the door, Ella was awake sitting at the kitchen table with her stuffed elephant eating cereal. She looked up and her face lit up like he'd hung the moon. "Daddy, you're back." He scooped her up, held her tight, breathed in the smell of her shampoo, and felt something in his chest finally unclench. "I'm back, baby girl, and I'm not going anywhere ever again. Promise? Promise." She hugged him fiercely. "I knew you'd come back. Heroes always come back." Jake closed his eyes and let himself believe just for a moment that maybe she was right. They stayed at the cabin for 3 more days. Jake told himself it was because Ella needed time to recover, needed the quiet and safety and distance from everything that had happened. But truthfully, he needed it too. Needed to watch her play without fear, needed to see her smile without wondering if it would be the last time, needed to believe that maybe the worst was finally behind them. On the second morning, Ella asked him to make pancakes shaped like animals. He burned the first batch, trying to make a giraffe, succeeded with a lopsided elephant on the second try. She ate it anyway, declared it the best elephant pancake she'd ever had, then asked why elephants couldn't fly. "Because they're too heavy, baby girl." "But airplanes are heavy and they fly." "Airplanes have engines." "So we should put engines on elephants." Jake laughed for the first time in what felt like years. "I don't think elephants would appreciate that." "You could ask them first. It would be polite." That was his daughter. Kidnapped, traumatized, but still worried about being polite to hypothetical flying elephants. God, he loved her. His phone rang that afternoon. Morrison. "Hey, just checking in. How's Ella?" "She's good, drawing pictures. Says she wants to be an artist when she grows up." "That's great. Listen, I wanted to give you an update. Chen and Holloway are both talking, trying to cut deals. We've identified 12 other officers involved in their operation. Arrests happening all week." 12. Jake felt sick. That many? Could be more. Internal Affairs is tearing through everything. But the good news is the operation's dead. Drug network dismantled, money seized, everyone connected either in custody or running scared. What about Reeves? Awake and recovering. He's cooperating fully, giving testimony about everything he saw. Between him, Maria, and you, the prosecution's got an airtight case. And Maria? Cleared of all charges. She's actually getting a commendation for her undercover work. Captain Hayes put her up for it. Jake was quiet for a moment. "Morrison, thank you. For believing me. For helping save Ella. For everything. You saved my life in that impound lot, Jake. I owed you one." Morrison paused. "But that's not the only reason I'm calling. There's something you need to know. Media's gotten hold of the story. Your name's out there. People are calling you a hero." "I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone would do." "That's where you're wrong. Most people wouldn't have stopped in that alley. Most people wouldn't have fought back. Most people would have walked away." Morrison's voice was firm. "You're a hero, whether you like it or not. And you're about to have a lot of attention because of it." "Great." "I'm serious, Jake. News crews interview requests, probably some kind of city ceremony. Hayes wants to give you a civilian medal." "I don't want a medal." "I know. But you're getting one anyway. Just warning you so you're prepared." After Morrison hung up, Jake sat on the porch watching Ella chase butterflies in the small yard. She'd found a net somewhere in the cabin, was trying to catch them without hurting them. Failing but laughing every time. A hero. He didn't feel like one. He felt like a mechanic who'd stumbled into something bigger than himself and barely survived. The gun he'd fired, the men he'd shot, the terror of watching his daughter's photo appear on his phone. Those weren't hero moments. Those were desperate moments. Survival moments. But maybe that's what heroism was. Not the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it. Not superhuman strength, but human determination. Not knowing you'd win, but fighting anyway because someone needed you to. His phone buzzed again. Text from Maria. "Can I come visit? Have something for Ella. Jake." "Sure. She'd like that." Maria arrived 2 hours later, arm in a sling, but otherwise looking healthy. She brought a stuffed animal, a police dog, wearing a tiny badge. Ella's eyes went wide when she saw it. "Is that for me?" "If you want it. His name's Officer Bruno, after your real Bruno." "I love him." Ella hugged the toy tight. "Thank you, Miss Maria." "You're welcome, sweetheart." Ella ran inside to show the new toy to her elephant, leaving Jake and Maria alone on the porch. "How are you really doing?" Maria asked. "Honestly, I don't know. Some moments I feel fine, normal even. Then something reminds me of what happened and I can't breathe." Jake looked at his hands. "I shot 2 people, Maria. I pointed a gun at human beings and pulled the trigger. To save your daughter. To save me. To stop people who were hurting innocents. Does that make it okay? It makes it necessary. There's a difference." Maria sat in the chair next to him. "You know what I keep thinking about that night in the alley when I was bleeding out? I heard you talking to me. You said you had a daughter who needed you, and I bet someone needed me too. You told me to fight. I remember. I was ready to give up Jake. I was so tired and the pain was so bad, and I just wanted it to be over. But you wouldn't let me quit. You literally wouldn't let me die." Her voice caught. "My daughter has a mother because you refused to walk away. My daughter gets to grow up because a mechanic with a dog decided to step into a dark alley and be brave. I wasn't brave. I was terrified. That's what brave means. Being terrified and doing it anyway." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching Ella through the window as she arranged her stuffed animals in some elaborate scenario that made sense only to 7-year-olds. "The department wants to do a ceremony," Maria said. "Honor you publicly. Hayes is pushing for it hard. Morrison mentioned that. You should do it. Why? So I can stand on a stage and pretend I'm something special. So Ella can see her father being recognized for his courage. So other people see that ordinary citizens can make a difference. So every cop in that department remembers that sometimes the bravest person in the room isn't wearing a badge." Maria looked at him. "You changed things, Jake. Really changed them. Half the department's being investigated because you refused to let me die. That matters. Will you be there at the ceremony? Wild horses couldn't keep me away." The ceremony was scheduled for the following week. Jake spent those days trying to prepare Ella, trying to explain why people wanted to give him a medal, trying to make sense of it himself. Mrs. Chen came by the apartment the day they moved back in, brought casserole, and tears hugged Jake so tight he thought his ribs might crack. "I was so worried," she said. "When I heard on the news what happened, I thought I'd never see you or Ella again." "We're okay, Mrs. Chen. We're home." "You're a good man, Jake Lawson. Your wife would be so proud." That hit harder than expected. Jake had thought about his wife a lot during this whole ordeal, wondered what she would have done, how she would have handled it. She'd always been braver than him, more decisive, more willing to confront problems head-on. Maybe some of that had rubbed off on him. Maybe she'd been preparing him all along for a moment like this. The night before the ceremony, Jake couldn't sleep. He checked on Ella 3 times, made sure all the doors were locked, verified that Bruno was alert and watching. The rational part of his brain knew they were safe now. Chen and Holloway were in custody. Their network dismantled, the threat neutralized. But the traumatized part, the part that had watched his daughter's photo appear with threats attached, that part wasn't convinced. That part might never be convinced. Around 2 in the morning, he heard Ella crying. He went to her room, found her sitting up in bed, clutching Officer Bruno, the stuffed dog. "Bad dream." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "The bad people came back. They took you away and I couldn't find you." Jake sat on the bed, pulled her into his lap. "It was just a dream, baby girl. The bad people are in jail. They can't hurt us anymore. Promise? Promise." "What if they get out?" "They won't. And even if they did, I wouldn't let them near you. Neither would Miss Maria or Sergeant Morrison or any of the other police officers. You've got a whole army protecting you now. Because you're a hero. Because we're family. and people protect family. Ella was quiet for a moment, processing that. Then she said, "Daddy, are you going to keep being a hero or go back to being a mechanic?" "I'm going back to being a mechanic, fixing cars, changing oil, boring stuff." "That's not boring. You help people get to work and take their kids to school and go on trips. That's important." Out of the mouths of babes. Jake kissed the top of her head. "You're right. It is important. And if you see someone who needs help, will you help them?" "Yeah, I will. Even if it's scary. Especially if it's scary." She hugged him tight. "Good. Because that's what heroes do." The ceremony took place at City Hall in the big auditorium where they usually held council meetings. Jake had expected maybe 50 people. There were at least 300. The mayor was there, the police commissioner, news crews, community leaders. And in the front row, Maria, in her dress uniform, Morrison next to her, looking uncomfortable in a suit. Hayes with captain's bars polished so bright they could blind someone. Jake wore the only suit he owned, bought for his wife's funeral, and not worn since. It still fit barely. Ella wore a dress Mrs. Chen had helped her pick out, white with purple flowers. She held Jake's hand so tight his fingers went numb. The mayor spoke first, talked about civic duty and courage, and the importance of community involvement. It was a good speech, probably written by someone on staff who'd never met Jake, but it sounded nice. Then Hayes came to the podium. "I've been a police officer for 23 years, she said. "I've seen a lot of brave people do a lot of brave things. But what Jake Lawson did was different. He wasn't trained for this. He didn't have backup or a badge or any authority. He just had compassion and courage and a dog named Bruno." That got a laugh from the crowd. Jake Lawson saw a dying police officer in an alley and made a choice. He could have called 911 and walked away. Most people would have. But he stayed. He applied pressure to her wound, he called for help, and when armed men came to finish the job, he stood between them and Officer Torres without hesitation. Hayes looked directly at Jake. That choice started a chain reaction. It exposed corruption that had been festering in our department for years. It brought down dirty cops who were destroying lives and communities. It reminded all of us why we became officers in the first place, to protect and serve, not to profit and betray. She held up a medal, bronze and heavy, hanging from a blue ribbon. "The City of Recognition to Jake Lawson for extraordinary civilian courage in the face of danger." The applause was deafening. Jake stood on shaky legs, walked to the stage, accepted the medal. Hayes pinned it to his jacket, then whispered, "You earned this 10 times over." The mayor shook his hand. The commissioner shook his hand. Then Maria stepped up to the podium. "Jake Lawson saved my life," she said simply. "I was bleeding out in an alley surrounded by people who wanted me dead, and he refused to let me die. He didn't know me. He had every reason to protect himself and his daughter and walk away. But he stayed. And because he stayed, I got to go home to my daughter. I got to wake up this morning and make breakfast and argue about homework and all the normal things mothers do." Her voice broke slightly. "I'll never be able to repay that. None of us will. But we can honor it. We can remember that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. We can aspire to be the kind of person who runs toward danger instead of away from it. We can be like Jake." More applause. Jake couldn't look at the crowd, couldn't process the attention. He focused on Ella, sitting in the front row, beaming with pride. After the ceremony, people lined up to shake Jake's hand, take photos, ask questions. He answered as politely as he could, desperate for it to be over, desperate to go home and pretend to be normal again. Morrison rescued him after about an hour, guided him to a quiet hallway away from the crowd. "You okay?" "No." "Yes. I don't know." Jake leaned against the wall. "This is too much. All these people acting like I'm special, when I just did what anyone should do. But most people don't do it. That's what makes it special. I don't feel special. I feel like a fraud. Jake, you shot 2 armed men to save your daughter. You helped take down a corrupt police operation. You risked everything multiple times for people you barely knew. Morrison's expression was serious. You can feel however you want, but don't call yourself a fraud. You earned every bit of recognition you got today. Ella appeared around the corner, Officer Bruno tucked under her arm. Daddy, can we go home now? I'm hungry. Jake had never been so grateful for an interruption in his life. Yeah, baby girl, let's go home. They stopped at her favorite diner on the way, the one with the pancakes she loved. Ella ordered chocolate chip. Jake got coffee he actually drank this time. She chattered about the ceremony, about how many people came, about how the mayor had the biggest chair she'd ever seen. Are you famous now, Daddy? No, I'm just me. But you're on TV. Mrs. Chen showed me on her phone. You were on the news. That doesn't make me famous. Just means I did something people wanted to talk about. Are they going to keep talking about it? For a while, probably. Then something else will happen and they'll forget all about us. Good. I liked it better when we were boring. Jake laughed. Me too, baby. Me too. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Jake's heart jumped before he saw it was just someone from a local news station asking for an interview. He deleted it. Another text. Hayes Press is going to hound you for a few weeks. I can have someone run interference if you want. Jake. I'd appreciate that. Hayes. Consider it done. Also, the department wants to offer you a job. Jake stared at that message for a long moment. Jake. What kind of job? Hayes Community Liaison. Work with civilians on crime prevention, safety awareness, building trust between police and neighborhoods. Flexible hours. Decent pay, make your own schedule. Jake. I'm a mechanic. Hayes. You're a hero who understands both sides. You could bridge gaps we can't. Think about it. He set the phone down. A job with the police department. A week ago, he barely trusted cops. Now they wanted him to work with them. Daddy, you're not eating your fries. Sorry, baby. Just thinking. About what? About whether I want to keep fixing cars or try something new. You love fixing cars. I do. But maybe I love helping people more. Ella considered this seriously. You can do both. Fix cars and help people. Cars help people remember. You said so. Smart kid. Too smart sometimes. Over the next few weeks, life slowly returned to something resembling normal. Jake reopened his garage, caught up on backed-up work, tried to fall back into routine. But it was different now. Customers treated him differently, like he was fragile or special, or both. News crews still showed up occasionally asking for interviews. He always declined. Maria stopped by one afternoon while he was working on a transmission. Her arm was out of the sling, moving more easily. Healing up, he asked. Getting there. Doctor says I can return to full duty next month. She leaned against the workbench. How about you? Settling back in. Trying to. It's weird though. Everything's the same, but nothing feels the same. That's trauma. It changes your perspective, makes you see things differently. Is that what happened to you, after everything? Yeah, I can't do undercover work anymore. Every time I try, I see that alley, feel that knife. PTSD is real, and it doesn't care how tough you think you are. Maria was quiet for a moment. But I'm talking to someone about it. Department-mandated therapy. It helps. They make you do therapy. After an officer-involved shooting or major trauma, yeah, it's protocol. She looked at him carefully. You should talk to someone too, Jake. What you went through, what you did, that's not something you process alone. I'm fine. That's what everyone says, right up until they're not. Jake wiped oil from his hands, sat on the rolling stool. I keep having nightmares. Ella gets taken and I can't find her. Or I'm in that alley again, but this time I'm too late and you die. Or Holloway shoots me and Ella watches it happen. That's your brain trying to process the trauma. It's normal, but it's not something you should just live with. Talk to a professional. It'll help, I promise. Maybe. Not maybe. Do it. For Ella, if not for yourself. Maria pulled out a card, set it on the bench. This is the therapist I'm seeing. She's good, specializes in trauma. Tell her I referred you, she'll fit you in. After Maria left, Jake stared at that card for a long time. Then he tucked it in his wallet. That night, after Ella was asleep, he sat in the kitchen with a beer he wasn't drinking and thought about everything that had happened. The alley, the blood, the fear, the choices. Every moment that had led him from a quiet life as a mechanic to a medal ceremony at City Hall. His phone rang. Hayes. Jake, sorry to call late. Got a minute? Yeah, what's up? Remember that job offer? I need an answer. We're restructuring community relations, and I want you heading it up. Captain, I'm not qualified for that. You're more qualified than you think. You understand what civilians need from police because you are one. You've seen the worst of us and the best of us. You know how to build trust because you did it with Maria, with Morrison, with me. I don't have training. We'll train you. 6-week program, full salary, then you start. The job's yours if you want it. Jake thought about his garage, his tools, the simple satisfaction of fixing engines. Then he thought about Ella asking if he'd keep helping people. Thought about Maria saying he'd changed things. Thought about standing in that park belt buckle recording evidence that would put corrupt cops away for life. Can I do both? Keep the garage work part-time for the department? We can make that work. 20 hours a week your schedule. How's that sound? Jake took a deep breath. Sounds like I'm saying yes. Excellent. Welcome to the team. Training starts next month. After hanging up, Jake sat in the quiet kitchen and realized he was smiling. Not the fake smile he'd been using for cameras and ceremonies, but a real one. Like maybe this was what he was supposed to do all along. Maybe his wife had died, so he'd understand what it meant to be alone. Maybe he'd stopped in that alley, so he'd understand what it meant to be brave. Maybe everything had happened exactly as it needed to, even the terrible parts, to bring him to this moment. He checked on Ella one more time before bed. She was asleep. Officer Bruno and the elephant both tucked under her arm, peaceful and safe. He watched her breathe for a minute, still unable to quite believe they'd made it through. "Love you, baby girl," he whispered. 6 months later, Jake stood in the same alley where he'd found Maria. But this time, it was daylight, and he wasn't alone. A crowd had gathered, maybe 100 people, for the dedication ceremony. The city had cleaned up the alley, painted a mural on the brick wall where Maria had nearly died. It showed a man and a dog standing guard over a fallen officer, stars above them, hope in their faces. Below the mural, a plaque, in recognition of Jake Lawson and Bruno, who reminded us that heroes come in all forms. Maria stood next to him in full dress uniform. Morrison was there with his wife and kids. Hayes brought the entire command staff. Reeves came in a wheelchair, still recovering but alive and getting stronger every day. And Ella was there holding the real Bruno's leash, beaming with pride. The mayor gave another speech. Better than the last one, more personal. He talked about how one man's choice had rippled outward, changing not just a police department, but an entire community. How trust was being rebuilt between officers and citizens. How corruption was being rooted out and replaced with accountability. When it was Jake's turn to speak, he stepped to the microphone and looked at all those faces. Cops and civilians, young and old, people from every part of the city who'd come to witness this moment. "I'm not good at speeches," he started. "I fix cars for a living. Fixed engines, changed oil, boring mechanical stuff. But 6 months ago, I learned something important. Sometimes the most important thing you can do has nothing to do with your job or your skills or what you're trained for. He looked at Ella. Sometimes it's just about not walking away when someone needs help. It's about stepping into the dark, even when you're terrified. It's about believing that one person can make a difference, even if that person is just a mechanic with a dog. His voice strengthened. What happened in this alley changed my life. It changed a lot of lives. But the lesson isn't about me being special. The lesson is that any of you could do the same thing. Any of you could be the person who steps up when it matters. Any of you could be the one who refuses to let someone die alone. He gestured to the mural. That's not just me and Bruno. That's every person who's ever chosen courage over comfort. Every person who's ever stood between evil and innocence. Every person who's ever said, "Not on my watch." Jake locked eyes with Maria. Officer Torres survived because I stopped. But more importantly, she survived because she's a fighter. Because she refused to give up. Because even bleeding out in an alley, she kept fighting for justice, for truth, for all the people counting on her. He looked at Morrison. Sergeant Morrison nearly died in an impound facility because he was pursuing the truth. He kept going even when it was dangerous, even when his own department was compromised. Then at Hayes. Captain Hayes risked her career to back us up, to trust civilians over ranking officers, to do what was right instead of what was easy. Finally, he looked at the crowd. That's what heroes look like. Not perfect people who never get scared. Just regular people who decide that doing the right thing matters more than staying safe. He stepped back from the microphone. The applause started slowly, then built, then became overwhelming. After the ceremony, after the photos and handshakes and congratulations, after the crowd dispersed and the officials left, Jake stood alone in the alley with Maria. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For everything. For saving me, for believing in me, for reminding me why I became a cop in the first place. You did the same for me. Reminded me that ordinary people can do extraordinary things." "You were never ordinary, Jake. You just didn't know it yet." Ella called out from the street where she was playing with Bruno. "Daddy, Bruno wants to go to the park." "In a minute, baby." Maria smiled. "Go. Be with your daughter. That's the most important job you've got." "What about you? What's next for Officer Torres?" "Detective Torres now. Got promoted last week. I'm heading up the new anti-corruption task force, making sure what happened with Chen and Holloway never happens again." "That's perfect for you." "Yeah, it is." She held out her hand. "Partners." Jake shook it. "Partners." As he walked away toward Ella and Bruno and the park, and everything that came next, Jake Lawson felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not since before his wife died, before life got complicated, before he understood how dark the world could be. He felt hope. Not naive hope. Not blind optimism. But the kind of hope that comes from surviving the worst and discovering you're stronger than you thought. The kind that comes from looking evil in the face and refusing to blink. The kind that comes from a 7-year-old daughter who still believed her daddy was a hero. Ella grabbed his hand, started chattering about the mural and the ceremony and how cool it was to see his face on a wall. Bruno trotted alongside them, tail wagging, oblivious to the fact that he was immortalized in paint and memory. And somewhere across the city, in a dozen police stations and 100 neighborhoods, people who'd heard the story were making their own choices. To stop when they saw someone in trouble. To speak up when they witnessed injustice. To believe that one person, one moment, one choice could change everything, because that's what Jake Lawson had proven. Not that he was special, but that anyone could be. Not that heroism required superpowers, but that it only required courage. Not that the world was perfect, but that imperfect people could make it better. One alley at a time. One choice at a time. One moment of refusing to walk away. That was his legacy. Not a medal or a mural or a job with the police department. His legacy was showing people that heroes don't wear capes or badges or anything special. Sometimes they just wear grease-stained work shirts and walk dogs at night. And when the moment comes when someone needs help, When evil thinks it's won, those ordinary heroes step forward and say the most powerful words in any language. Not today.